Hey guys, Deathbyphiw here. We got big news. The Overwatch 2 retail patch notes are here. So first and foremost, there's going to be a Cowboy Bebop collab. So they're releasing those skins in the shop from now until March 25th. So if you like them, go get them. I personally don't really like the Cassidy skin, and I play Cassidy. I think it's ugly, but if you like it, that's fine with you. Some general updates. There's going to be a new game mode called Hero Mastery Gauntlet. So it's a new co-op game mode where players work together to protect towers from enemy bots, collect energy, and buy powerful upgrades to survive all 10 rounds. Seems pretty fun. I probably may play it, maybe not, I don't know. And then there's some competitive play updates that are more important. So the competitive placements and overview will now be displayed before hero progression at the end of a competitive match. The competitive rank range has been added to the scoreboard so players can view the rank range of a match at any time. That's huge because there's been times where I just, I'm streaming and I have a brain fart and I miss what the rank range is and I'm like, ah, crap, what was it? I have to ask teammates, and I don't know, people just don't like to chat in high elo games sometimes. I don't know why. Maybe it's across all elos, no clue. But now you'll be able to see it, so that's pretty cool. Modifiers can now be viewed outside of the competitive overview with a rank info button found on the competitive play menu, and a new modifier called demotion protection has been added to the competitive overview to notify players that if they lose another game, they will be demoted to the next lowest division. So a little scary, but at least based on the percentage you are into that rank, the progression, if you do lose the next game, it's telling you no matter what, you're going to get demoted. Hero update. So it looks like there's some projectile size changes. So there's been a global projectile size modifier for travel time. Projectiles with a speed greater than 50 meters per second reduced from 0.1 to 0.075 meters. Developer comments are, we are decreasing the size of the fastest travel time projectiles because it reduces the frequency of these projectiles failing to headshot due to hitting the enemy's chest hit volume first. So it looks like projectiles that are very fast had a higher rate of hitting the chest because of the speed. So they're slowing down the speed of those. Maybe a Hanzo arrow was hitting the chest instead of headshotting. I don't know, but they're maybe slowing down the speed of those projectiles to make them more likely to hit where they're supposed to go. That's at least what I determined from it. Role passive updates. So this is a huge one that we talked about in the previous video, is the heal reduction applied to the damage roll passive was lowered from 20% to 15%. So they're tweaking it because it seems just super OP. Like, it's the season of DPS this season, and this passive is very, very strong. So this will leave maybe a little bit of pressure on tanks, also maybe a little bit of pressure on supports having to dish out a lot of heals and whatnot. So we'll see how this goes in the game and how it affects the game. And it looks like the developers are keeping a close eye on it too. So if they have to tweak it a little bit more, seems like they'll do it rather quickly. So they also added a new UI element above the player's first-person health bar to show all active healing status effects: anti-heal, amplified healing, reduced healing. So this was a huge complaint when you had that DPS passive on you. All you needed was like one shot from a tracer from like 100 meters away that did 1 damage, and it would proc the DPS passive. So now you know when you're affected by it and when it goes away, and other things as well, like anti-heal and amp healing and reduced healing. So this is good. This is would help out tank players and other players tremendously, in my opinion. We spoke about this in the director's take, but Doomfist is getting a buff to his Meteor Strike. His minimum damage is being increased from 15 to 50. So that means that circle that appears when he ults, as you move further and further away from the center, the amount of damage it does decreases. Now the minimum amount of damage is increased from 15 to 50. So quite a bit of a buff to Doom. I think this will affect higher elo players more because Doom is better in higher elo because he's a very high skilled hero to learn and play with. So not so much of a problem in lower elo, but I think this will affect them quite a bit in higher elo, but it's not going to be too crazy, but more for those players to deal with. Maga's getting a little bit of buff, and I spoke about this before as well. His stomp damage is being increased from 45 to 60. His cardiac overdrive is getting tweaked. Its duration is decreasing from 5 to 4 seconds, and its cooldown is reducing from 12 to 10 seconds. And it now fills his passive over health by 100. They're trying to give him a bit of a buff here to have a little bit more sustain. He's really weak right now. I think he's like a D tier tank, just a little bit better than Reinhardt, and he needs some quality of life changes. Nothing that makes him broken like when he was released, because oh god, Maga meta was terrible, I think, for everybody. But could possibly bump him up a little bit. I'll probably do a tier list again in a few days for tank, support, and DPS heroes to see how they've all been affected by this mid-season patch. So keep a lookout for that. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and make sure those bell notifications are on, because we will be doing those videos in the coming week. But yeah, this might make Maga a little bit better. Maybe bump him up into C tier, maybe a little bit higher. Who knows? We'll see. Orisa's also getting a buff to her ultimate. Her Terror Surge charge rate for the first 2.5 seconds is being increased by 25%. This is due to a lot of mobile heroes in the game today. I feel like Orisa presses her Q, her ultimate, and like everybody has like a mobility ability now. They just get out of it. They slide out. Now it's increasing that charge up rather quickly. So if you go and use your Terror Surge on like a low target hero, an enemy, to try and quickly get some burst damage, it's going to do more burst damage now. And a quick example of this is like Cassidy's Deadeye, right? There's oftentimes I have his ultimate, I use it to reload, but in other situations I use Cassidy's ultimate. If I'm dueling 1v1ing a target and I have him low, but like I have to reload, I will press Q rather quickly and they're low. That Deadeye charges in like half a second and kills them. So same concept here, is it's increasing, you know, by 25% on her ult in the first 2.5 seconds, so it does more damage more quickly. Ramattra is getting quite a bit of a damage buff here on his Ravenous Vortex. It's being increased from 45 to 70, probably due to the part that everybody got an HP buff across the entire spectrum of heroes. So it needs to give him a little bit of quality of life update to increase his damage. Rush really isn't meta right now, but this might make him a bit better, and we'll see how it plays out. And that cooldown is being decreased from 12 to 11 seconds. Reinhardt is getting a buff, but it's not enough in my personal opinion. Took a quick gander at these patch notes before starting up the record button here to record this video for you all on YouTube, but his armor is increasing from 275 to 300, and his fire strike damage is getting increased from 100 to 120. A little bit of a damage increase here and a little bit of armor buff here may increase his survivability a little bit. Fire Strike's already a pretty hard ability to hit, especially with Dive being meta right now, so I don't know how much this really makes him better. I don't know, maybe he's D tier now instead of F tier, maybe he stays F tier, I don't know, we'll see. But not much of an update here. Roadhog is getting, again, in my opinion, pretty significant buffs here, and I'll explain why. So his chain hook is now being buffed to where when he hooks someone, they're not 4 meters away, they're now 3 meters away. And this is important for when you're bringing a target close to you. Like I said, a lot of heroes have mobility abilities now. You hook somebody in and you do initial damage on them, they can, you know, use a mobility ability to try and get away and move away, and it does less damage as they get further away from you. Now that they're closer, it gives you a little bit more opportunity to secure that kill, get more damage on them, and just chunk down that target. This will affect his ability to pull people into holes, and to pull people off the map, because they're now 1 meter closer to you. So if you're on like Ilios well, it may be a little bit harder to get them to the well. So you got to just adjust your playstyle there. And Pigpen is getting a buff to have vertical knockback on activation decreased by 43%. So this was pushing them back. So if you pull them in, the trap, the Pigpen trap was essentially knocking them back a little bit, and it was decreasing your ability to secure damage, to secure a kill possibility. So now the vertical knockback is getting decreased by 43% to help them out a little bit. So it makes that follow-up shot a little bit more consistent. Hanzo is getting some changes. So they are doing that global general reduction on these projectile sizes. So this is affecting all travel time projectiles with a speed greater than 50 meters per second, resulting in Hanzo's arrow projectile staying the same total size as before this patch. So his logs are a little bit smaller, but the base projectile size increased from 0.075 to 0.1 meters. The total projectile size when combined with the general hero change is still 0.175 meters. So going back to reverting the previous change to his base projectile size and replacing it with the general global reduction. So trying to help out his ability to hit those headshots, because apparently, as I previously stated, it was causing it to hit more in the chest area when it should be hitting in the head. So nothing really huge there, in my opinion. Mei is getting, I think, pretty decent buffs here. Her ammo is increasing from 120 to 140. Her cryo freeze is healing per second is being increased from 50 to 62.5. So her ability to heal when she's in that cryo freeze is going up quite a bit to help her out. And her ability to do more damage and sustain in a team fight is going up quite a bit with her ammo increase. Don't think it's a major change, but it's helping her out quite a bit. Reaper is getting a buff, and his damage per second is being increased from 170 to 185, and his ultimate cost is being decreased by 12%. This may make Reaper more, viable in team fights, more viable in team comps, and have him be able to do quite a bit more damage and also get his ultimate a little bit faster. So maybe more Reaper play in after this mid-season patch. We'll see. Sombra, for the love of God, for some reason, is getting a buff when she's currently like the hard meta with Dive, with Tracer, so I have no clue why this is happening, but they're increasing her virus impact damage from 10 to 25. They're also making her Translocator destroy breakables while in a fight. And her EMP, her ultimate cost, is being reduced by 8%. So she's now going to do more damage with her virus impact. Her Translocator can be thrown to things and it will basically break something that it's thrown at. So anything that's breakable, it will destroy it while in flight. And then her ultimate cost is being reduced by 8%. So, oh great, thank you. Thank you. Let's make Sombra, our lovable Sombra stronger. I really don't like Sombra prayers. I don't know why people play Sombra. You have something wrong with you if you do. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Moving on. Symmetra. I stated in a previous patch update is that Zarya now does more damage than Symmetra, so it looks like they're buffing Symmetra, who's a DPS, who should do more damage, right? So her primary fire damage per second is increased from 60 to 65, scaling with each stage, so her maximum damage per second is now 195. That's good for her because Symmetra is really bad right now. Her sentry turret, their health is being increased from 30 to 50. Her DPS, her damage per second, increased from 25 to 30 for her sentry turret. Her teleporter health increased from 50 to 100, and the shields increased from 150 to 200. So some quality of life buffs here for Sim. She's still very situational in my personal opinion. I don't think this makes her too viable, but we'll see how it plays out. Torb is getting a little bit of buff to his turret. His turret damage is being increased from 11 to 13. This is huge because Dive is meta, and if you don't really play Dive, Torb is a good counter to like a Sim or a Tracer in your backline. You throw that turret into a lovely place that can help out your supports in the backline, help out your team in the backline, and just start shooting that Sim. Start shooting that Sombra, shooting that Tracer when they try to dive in. It really does help out quite a bit. Torb really is kind of like a middle of a pack DPS right now. I think right around B tier, but this makes him a little bit stronger, a little bit more better to play into that dive comp that exists today. I spoke about this previously too in a previous video, but Ana is getting a buff to her nade, her biotic grenade. Damage and healing is increased from 60 to 90, so I think this is good for her survivability. It's still not going to make her too much better, but a little bit more survivability here, which is good. Brig is getting a buff. I didn't really think Brig needed a buff. I thought she was kind of pretty good, like A tier, pretty solid and strong, but she is getting a buff, maybe to counteract the dive meta a little bit and make her a little bit more stronger brawler to help out. She pairs up really well with like a Zen Lucio, so her repair pack cooldown is being reduced from 6 to 5, so be able to do a little bit more healing there. And her rally cost, her ultimate is being reduced by 8%. She'll have it up a little bit more, which her ultimate is actually a really good ability. So curious to see how this pans out for her. Does it move her up into S tier? Does it move her maybe up A tier to A+? We'll see. Illari is a hero that has been struggling tremendously in the meta, and they're trying more and more so to tweak her to make her better. So more of a buff here for her. Her primary fire recovery time is reduced from 0.3 to 0.2 seconds, and her maximum charge time has been reduced from 0.7 to 0.65 seconds. Some tweaks here. Maybe it makes her a little bit better. We'll see how it pans out. I still think she's like a D tier support. We'll see if this bumps her up a little bit, maybe to C tier. I don't know, but we'll see. Lifeweaver is another support that's been struggling, and they're making his maximum heal amount increase from 70 to 80, and his maximum charge time increase from 1 to 1.5 seconds. Curious to see how this pans out for him, but I still think with the meta being the way that it is, unless it shifts away from dive, he won't be a very solid choice on support. Other than that, there's just some general bug fixes that you'll be able to see here for the game and for some maps. I didn't see any changes for Mercy, which I thought maybe they might buff her healing a little bit with the DPS passive, but the DPS passive reduction does help her out just a little bit. She has been pretty much, in my opinion, gutted by that DPS passive, but maybe it makes her a little bit more playable and viable. I think she needs a little bit of healing buff, but we'll see how that plays out. Anyways, if you haven't already, make sure to hit a like on this video, hit subscribe, and make sure that bell icon's turned on so you could get notifications when I post my videos. I stream usually 5 days a week, and I post shorts and videos daily. So if you haven't checked out my shorts, I post some really funny Overwatch memes that are highly relatable, so go check them out. And my YouTube videos tend to be gameplay or educational videos like this. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Curious to see what your thoughts are. Do you agree or disagree with my discussion here? And as always, happy gaming.